So, hi everyone. My name is, well, it's now Amanda Klein-Cox. That's a new development. Same me, just hyphenated. But I'm happy to be here and honored to share, especially because I'm really not an email marketing expert. So I am happy to share with you what I have learned through trial and error and figuring things out as I went along. So briefly, what we'll cover today is how I got into my email marketing and what I did when I started. And then I'm just going to show you from start to current, how my strategy has evolved, if we can call it that, and what I've learned along the way. I'd love to share with you, and then I can talk a little bit about what my goals are for it as I move along. So this is me and, my one employee, Aries. I am the owner of Structured Solutions and have been a consultant for almost 5 years now. I also do a lot of other stuff. I do research part-time at Ohio State here in Columbus, and I'm also an adjunct professor. But through all of these things, I really love using data to tell stories and highlight things that can help drive improvements, especially in the education space. My focus is on family and community engagement and how we can measure that. So I wanted to start by telling you all a bit about my business because I got really involved in AEA last fall. And I met a lot of you then, and I was in a really different headspace than I'm in now. And so I wanted to kind of share my journey a little bit. So, in 2015, I started my business. Super excited. I had a really strong network. I was at the time living in Baltimore, Maryland, where I had lived for quite a long time since college. I stayed about 10 years after college. So I knew people, I knew my target market. I knew people in the schools and districts and nonprofits who were my ideal audience. And so my business got off to a pretty easy start, I have to say. And I really didn't take the time. Well, I just didn't know I needed to take the time to learn how to run a business. So, year 2 was great. And then, we get to 2018 and my now husband moved to Ohio. And because I could take my work remotely, I followed him about 7 months later. So at the beginning of 2018, I moved to Columbus. And little did I know that it's really hard to uproot your whole business. And I really saw my business falter quite a bit. And so I met all of you somewhere around here where I was really not in a great headspace. Yeah, it wasn't a great journey, but we're doing better now. So now I can talk about it with a sense of humor. But right around this point in my journey, it occurred to me that maybe I should do something different since my network is no longer here. So I started to develop an email strategy. I'm pretty certain that I did it because someone else I knew was doing it. I really am not even certain how I started, but I was like, hey, let's just start an email list and keep me in people's minds, since I was trying desperately to hang on to my old network. So here were kind of the points that I started with. My mailing list still remains, a fair percentage of family members. So my goal was to get more than my family on there. I started by sharing updates about my work and where I was presenting or who I was working with. I wanted to share resources about education specifically because that was my target audience, that I say vetted in quotation marks because I kind of just felt like I should put resources in there, and I actually felt a lot of pressure to feel like I should vet them if I was going to share something. And so that was actually one of the hardest parts of starting, because I didn't always know what to share or what would be useful. And then I also definitely had a complex about not wanting to bug people. So I did quarterly emails for the start. So what I've done is take some little screen recordings so you can see my full emails. And I've done this for a few of my emails since 2018. So my very first email went out through MailChimp in May of 2018, and I'll show you what it looked like. So really newsletter style. I put pictures of presentations. I shared a resource. I put my website at the bottom, but there wasn't really a strong purpose behind it because, again, didn't really know what I was doing then. But I got a lot of good responses to it. People were excited to see updates, beyond my mom and grandpa. So that, I was encouraged by it and continued. So over time, I have really evolved my strategy, or what I do when I develop an email. This has been partially through, again, trial and error and trying to see where I get higher open rates and things like that, but also just by seeing people's emails that I really like, and trying to model my stuff after that format at least. And then also, since I shared my business journey with you, I also have learned a lot about marketing since last fall specifically. AEA was a huge help for me. And then I've also purchased like the smallest packages I could from a few marketing consultants to help me get some ideas for where to go. So I'll show you what my evolution has been. So fall of 2018, again, this is, 6 months, 4 to 6 months after my first email. Here's what this one, Here's what this one looked like. I updated a little bit, tried to streamline, but I was still sending out a lot of different types of information in one place. I mean, that was an adorable video of that 4-year-old, but like looking back on it, really, is that promoting my business? Probably not. A year later, in fall of 2019, I had really made it more of a, one screen type of thing, but I was still sharing a lot of information in one place. It wasn't very clear where someone should go to work with me. Excuse me. Still sharing a lot of resources that other people did as opposed to my own thoughts and content. And also, I'm laughing at myself because this is so long. Not really sure why someone would want to read all the way through that. So again, slow progression. And I'm sharing this with you because I just want you to know, like, this is how it evolved for me too. And I want you to know that you don't have to be an expert when you first start your email journey, that it can progress as you go. So that was fall of 2019. Right after that, I actually started a blog. I really love to write. I've blogged for other organizations before. Probably I got the idea because I saw some other people blogging and I was like, hey, I should do that. So I started a blog, and then I started using my emails as a way to share my blog. One of the marketing consultants that I spoke with in the fall said to me that people only see or read 1 out of every 4 things you send them. So if I was sending my content once a quarter, they were only seeing 1 email from me a year. And that really was powerful for me. And so I decided on a schedule with my blog that I felt was manageable for me, and I've been able to stick to it. So every 2 weeks, I write a blog and send it out via email. Because with that hope, they're getting a lot more, I'm having a lot more success reaching people if I'm reaching out more often. So by January 2020, just this year, like, I've had a huge evolution. So still a whole lot of information in 1 email, still sharing other people's resources. And then when I look back at this, I was like, wow, this is so sad. I buried my own content at the very end of my email. I mean, my blog was long. I can understand why maybe people weren't, a ton of people weren't reading it. So yeah, I can see even now, looking back, not even a year later, how I've been able to improve. So fast forward about 6 months, July, so just 2 months ago, I started in the time since then, started to make it feel more like just a letter I was sending. I started getting feedback from people saying newsletters are dead. You shouldn't do a newsletter anymore. Just send an email. And so this was one of my attempts to do that. So fewer headers, although those were the headers within my message. Really just sharing one topic about my Excel trainings, sharing some testimonials about why those trainings were popular. And then at the end, I'll place again, oops. Oh, sorry about that. At the end, just really trying to be clearer about where someone could go to work with me. So you'll see at the end, I have kind of a, are you interested in bringing some Excel workshops to your workplace? And then some other ways I could help. So again, this was kind of modeled off of some other emails I was starting to see, but as I've developed my own, I don't know, template, I guess, it's starting to feel more like mine. So now I recently, again, because I don't like paying for things, I paid for a very small package with an email marketer who was really helpful. And she was highlighting how I shouldn't be using big paragraphs. I should be varying what my text looks like in terms of bold and size and color. And so this is, I also switched from MailChimp to another free program called Mailerlite. And this was just a recent switch within the last month. But it's been really great because I can do a lot of automations, and I'm starting like a welcome series for people who join my list. So I'm feeling a lot more official. But this is one of my most recent emails after speaking with her. So it's still not perfect, but trying to add in bold. And so if someone was skimming, they would have a better sense of what I'm talking about. And then really just clearly at the end, this is how you reach me. And you'll also see that I have like a signature at the end. That was something she suggested to make it more personal. Early in my emails, I was saying, Amanda presented at blah, 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 or other places I would say, you know, Dr. Klein, it was Klein at the time, Klein was presented here. But I've really shifted my marketing across the board to be first person, to be a little more casual, because that's who I am. And so this feels a lot more authentic to me. So here's how my strategy has changed. I am still trying to get more than just my family on my email list. Certainly my list has grown, but I don't have a huge list. And that for me is like my big focus moving forward, is how I can use some lead magnets and things like that, and the things I'm learning about marketing to grow my list in a way that doesn't feel overly salesy. Like I said, I'm focusing on one theme for each email that shows the value that I bring to the client, as opposed to just, hey, I did this. Hey, this is what I can do. Instead, I'm really trying to focus on, you know, the pain point that a client might be experiencing and how what I do can help them with that. I'm also trying to focus on providing really clear steps for what they can do next. What I've learned in my research and working with some of these marketing consultants is that people don't want to click a whole bunch of links and take a whole bunch of steps to reach you. People don't have that kind of time. And so making it as clear and direct as possible can help you get some conversions from your emails. And then, like I said, I've really increased the frequency of my emails. I do email twice a month, but as I evolve, I envision if something important comes up, I can just do a brief email that's not a blog post to let my network know. So I just wanted to kind of summarize some of the other lessons I've learned and then share with you the resources that I've found to be helpful. So I've talked about a lot of these, but like I said, most of the people are not going to read all of your emails. And what I've also learned is that most people who do read your emails aren't going to read everything. They probably won't remember it. So I've been encouraged recently to kind of reuse my content, share it more often, and And that's still something I'm working on because it still feels a little weird to me. Also, again, focusing on the value that you bring to your client and the benefits they'd get from working with you, keeping it simple, and instead of having one email with a whole bunch of things, having multiple emails with one clear topic. Again, these clear steps of what someone should do to become your client or access your resources. I've enjoyed this a lot more since I have put my own personal touch on it and allowed myself to just be myself. I used to find my email newsletters to be a bit of a burden because I didn't know what update, like especially when my business wasn't doing well, like what am I supposed to update people about? I didn't have some great advance, but you know, I am an expert, and owning that has felt really good, and acknowledging that I can still add some value to people and they don't need to know how my business is doing. And then, like I said, finding a schedule that works. But every 2 weeks has been really great for me. I admire people who can come up with content more than weekly or more, but I don't think I can. So finding something that just works for you. And then finally, these are some of the resources that have really helped me, not only just with my email, but also just with my general marketing revamp. I mean, I completely redid all of the language on my website and then what I've used in marketing since then. So Emily Maguire is the email marketer that I recently worked with, and she's really great. Her company is called Flourish and Grit. And the link here, and I'm happy to share this with anyone who needs it, but the link here is actually, she compiled all these resources about great looking and really effective emails from across the internet. So her email treasure chest I've found to be really helpful. The other marketing consultant that helped me with this kind of value-based marketing and really owning myself as the expert is Leah Niederthal. I've talked to a lot of people about her. She works primarily with women who are in like service and consulting businesses, but she offers a lot of free content on LinkedIn and through webinars. So even if you're not a woman, you can still benefit from her material. And then this article here that I found especially helpful about really explaining what is value-based marketing and how it's not as hard as it seems to shift from I do this, 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 and this to this is how I bring value to your organization. And similarly, around that time I read Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why, which also focuses on kind of the value you bring as opposed to the what you do. So I'm happy to take any questions. And, you know, of course, put in a plug to sign up for my email list. But thank you so much for having me.
So Amanda, we have lots of questions that we've been posting, and I have a couple more. They're all in the, you can read them.
Yeah.
And I'm going to stop the recording right now, just so you know. We don't have to worry about that. And this part will be edited out too. So this is the part for our new people. I'm sorry. And I saw there's a couple people I didn't go through the process of what we typically do, but we start off for the first, 10 to 20, sometimes if I'm doing it, more than 20 minutes talking through a topic. And so we present and we all turn off our videos, and then we come back on and we chat about it. And really there's no structure. That's about it. So I'm going to